with you guys this morning. I was going to talk about this. Let me bring it up here. Sorry. More Americans live paycheck to paycheck, shrinking retirement savings. Pretty interesting article to go through some of the things that they're talking about in here because it goes right along with everything that I have been saying about inequality, the Cantillon effect, and what it is that's been taking place here within our economy not only for centuries, but here over the last few years, as people want to direct their attention towards political events or corporate greed or something of that nature, we really have to understand the underlying economic forces that are taking place. Now, I'm going to read through this article a little bit, and again, it just kind of shows the signs of the times. It goes, according to the 2025 Goldman Sachs, quote, New Economics of Retirement, there's a link down in the description for the article to this, report 42% of Generation Z, Millennials, and Generation X said that they are already living paycheck to paycheck. The trend is expected to get worse. By 2033, Goldman said 55% of workers will be living paycheck to paycheck, with the number going up to 65% by 2043. It says you can see how costs like childcare, costs like going to college, costs of housing and rent, all of those costs are taking a much larger percent of the shares of someone's income. That was the quote coming from Chris Sadir. Now, again, when we think about the Cantillon effect and how it is that it takes place and when new money comes into the system and how it separates the rich from the poor, this is another obvious sign of it taking place. And we can only expect that this is probably going to continue going into the future. Now, when we think about how it is that the administrations or the central bankers out there or anybody who is in any kind of political power, what is expected of them is to do something. And if they do something, they're going to have to spend money to do it. And if they're spending money, they are going to have an issue. Hold on one second. Let me turn off my Wi-Fi because I think that's on. As we think about some of the things that are taking place here right now, some of the other articles that I wanted to share with you as well is one of the other signs is consumer spending, right? Now, right now, the consumer is essentially the top 10% of people or top 10% of household incomes. They're doing 50% of the consumption. So when it comes to those who are consuming, the entire system is essentially focused in on the top 10%. If they can get the top 10% of people to spend money, then that is essentially what is going to be filtering through the economy. Yes, they do have to get everybody else to spend as well, but it's more about maintaining as opposed to depleting their spending. They can focus on the top 10% to increase, but they can't really expect much out of the bottom 50% of people. And really, it comes to the top 20% and the bottom 80% of people. And again, this was 3 reasons rich Americans may not be able to keep economies strong. And again, when we think about how it is that the economy is now reliant on the top 10% of people, if they slow down their purchases and we have to rely on that to spark the economy, then we are going to have issues going into the future because it's just such a small fraction of the people, even though they make up such a magnitude of the economy. Right. And then one of the other signs of the inequality that is growing right now, because you have to think, anytime there's new money coming in, I'm trying to keep this somewhat short and to the point. Anytime you ever bring new money in and you have debt issuance, money printing, savings that goes up, that money is eventually going to find its way out of savings into the economy and is going to get spent. Now, the people who spend that money are generally spending it on good times, debt payments, or bills, right? So those are the 3 places that essentially everybody is going to be spending their money. Now, if you inject new money into the system and you give it to the rich, you give it to the middle class, you give it to the poor, everybody is eventually going to place that money somewhere. Now, A good idea, if you give it to the poor, is for them to pay their debts, use it to pay their bills, use it to make their life slightly better than it is than they're experiencing. But a lot of times it gets wasted. And now it gets wasted and it moves into the place that they don't want it to, and that's to the corporations, because they're spending it on toys, they're spending it on experience. Wherever they spend it, it'll find its way into the hands of the few who are essentially at the top. Now, understanding that to be the case, you have to think about it. Right now, we have global equity funds inflows hit an 11-month high. This is based on the idea that the Federal Reserve is going to be easing monetary policy going into the future. That's still questionable about what it is that's going to be taking place. But many people are of the mindset that if you lower interest rates, you're going to be easing monetary policy. And by easing monetary policy, you can only assume that there's going to be more money injection with debt issuance. So then we take into the consideration now that if you put in money into the system, no matter how you do it, giving it to the poor, give it to the middle class, give it to the rich, it's going to eventually find its way and filter up to the hands of the few. This is going to cause inequality every single time. There is no doubt about it. And so as we watch the evidence take place and we assume that there is something that can be done, the only thing that I can assume that can be done is a total economic collapse, or they're going to continue on trying to keep the system together, try to keep more debt issuance, try to keep the people from deploying their efforts into a position in which that would be most beneficial to them, as the idea of educating the youth in a proper manner so that they could then take their efforts, time, and capabilities to then position themselves to not experience the pain that they're about ready to go through, considering 65% of workers in the future of 2043 will be living paycheck to paycheck. Understanding the underlying economic force that has taken place right now is absolutely critical. If you are young, like I was talking to a young man the other day, 25 years old, and I said, "Hey man, have you ever messed around with the compound interest calculator?" And he kind of looked at me and I said, "Here, let me show you something. If you took $50 a month, like we were doing something small, $50 a month for 40 years at an 8% interest," I said, "look at what you'll have at the end of that." I said, "You won't even miss $50 a month." I said, "You won't even miss it. $12.50 a week." I said, "Come on, man, you could come up with that easy. You won't even miss it." And I punched it into the calculator. I forget exactly what the number was. It was like somewhere in the hundreds of $1,000s, $120,000, 25,000. I said, "Check this out, man." I said, "If you stick around for just one more year, take it from 40 years to 41. He's 25 years old, right? He could be 65. Take it to 66. Look how much the increase." And I forget exactly what the number was, but it jumped up like, I don't know, $25,000 or something like that. And I said, "Mess around with this compound interest calculator." I said, "Look how much if you take that $50 to $100 for the next 42 years. See if you could get 10% interest. Look what happens." And I said, "What if you didn't take anything from it and you let it go for another year, 43 years? Look how much money you would get in interest." And it started making his eyes just get bigger. And I said, this is the seriousness of this. 25 years old is the greatest gift an investor could ever possibly have, is their youth, because they can take advantage of compounding interest. It's unlike anything that anybody has. I don't have it. I'm 49 years old. How much time do I possibly have to take advantage of compounding interest? I can take advantage of some, right? I mean, it's still there a little bit and it's worth doing, but it's not as advantageous as if you started at 25, especially considering that it's almost insignificant, the amount that you're putting in. See, I look at that and I think to myself, well, see, this could make it a whole lot easier if people understood it from that principle from a very early age. They could condition their life in order to have a position like that that says, hey, I am not broke, right? I am not broke. I might have to live paycheck to paycheck, but I'm not broke because I have this coming to me. I've positioned my life to be able to do that. And as you do that throughout your life, you will actually have the mindset of saving and not going into debt, because you don't want to lose that. You've worked hard for it your entire life. You'll just literally put yourself in the mindset of being that saver, investor, in the abundance mindset. You will naturally grow into it. Nobody is taught that. They aren't taught that. It's like literally removing the blocks of flow. See, this is how I think it's funny. A lot of times when I talk about like being in the flow, a lot of times people say that takes effort to get into the flow, and it does. You have to work hard, right? If you want a YouTube channel, you got to work hard. You got to put out videos. You got to think of videos. You got to be consistent at videos, and you got to be there and be consistent and do all the stuff, right? And so people say that's work to get into that. But ultimately, it feels very natural to be out here. It feels very natural to do this. I like doing it. It feels good to be there. See, before I was putting up the blog saying, man, I don't know if I can do it. Who's going to watch? And now it just feels like being there is just very natural. It's not like something I have to work hard at doing. And it flows. When you think about $50 a month and how insignificant that really is, and what that's going to do for your future, it's like literally conditioning yourself to be in the flow at some point in time, but it's literally removing the blocks. How hard is it to fill out, to get a Roth IRA for yourself, right? There's a million people who are offering them up. And you can contribute just a small amount every single month to that, whatever it is you can afford. And I'm talking like, this is like for the average everyday person. I'm not talking people who come from, a bunch of money. I'm just saying this is what, a kid at 25 years old could do right now. And if they were to consider that and look into what it is that they are doing to put themselves in the flow at some point in the future, think about how simple that is. It's like literally removing the block. The block is not filling out the form. Just fill it out. Set it up so that the $50 comes right out of your debit account, and just make sure it's always there every month. Go about your way, right? Think about how easy it is. It's in the flow and you're not even doing anything. So you just remove the block from it. Very much like starting this YouTube channel, I had to remove the block of the insecurity of being out here thinking that nobody was going to be here. Once I removed it, it just flows. You just remove the blocks to get into the flow, right? It's as simple as that. All right. There is no right and left because there is no left. The flow is spiritual discernment. Or is a question, I see. I guess. I mean, you think about it, anything in your view that you are experiencing right now, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever it is that you are experiencing is a direct reflection of what it is that you are thinking and feeling on the inside. If you are experiencing something that you feel is ugly or bad or whatever, you have to think about where that is coming from, because it is a reflection of what it is that you're feeling. And I know that's so weird to think for a lot of people, and they're like, oh man, don't give me the crystal grip and hippie shit, right? But that's the truth of the matter, because I witness it every single day, right? And I witness it on how it is that people are acting, behaving, and doing their life every single day. The things that they say, the tonality, the mannerism, and the subconscious reality that they are experiencing that they don't see, they don't know that I'm seeing, right, or recognizing within them, is totally making their view. I mean, I'm sitting at the same place that some other people are sitting at, and they are describing what it is that we are seeing in a total different view from what it is that I'm experiencing. And we're at the exact same location. So I think to myself, yeah, this is all about the meaning that you are given in. And if you are viewing it in a way that says, man, this is them coming down on us, this is them hurting us, this is them causing the pain and suffering and everything else that comes with it, then I guarantee you that is exactly what it is that you will see. You will see it and you will feel it and you will experience it. No doubt about it. And this is in everything. It doesn't matter if it's economics, money, relationships, anything. It doesn't matter, right? It's all the exact same. It's the feeling and understanding of what it is that you are carrying with you every single time. If you don't think you're deserving of it, you will not get it. That's all there is to it, because you will prove it to yourself. The ego wants to be right every single time, and if you have convinced yourself that you don't deserve it or it isn't coming to you, then that's what you'll experience from it. And a lot of times, this is what I see from the articles. That's why I push against it so hard. People call me some sort of like, I don't know even what they know what to call me anymore. Like, I don't, people call me all kinds of stuff. I don't care. But a lot of times what I guess I get is a pushback from people saying, you are not one of understanding what it is like to be broke ass. And I think to myself, that is my entire existence from the time I was 18 years old up until I was 45. I'm 49. You have to think about it. I've only been in the YouTube game for 7 years. It's only really brought me in money for the last few years, and most of that money went in getting out of debt and paying this house. Like, I've never really had any money. People they have this weird illusion of who I am. All right. And so when I think about it, it's just like I go to work every single day so that I can have a good job that provides for my family, just like everybody else is doing out there. And when they say, yeah, but not all of us can have a YouTube channel, I'm thinking, I work this YouTube channel like it's a second job. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there who can figure out ways to make money outside of their day job. I'm doing that. Other people can do that. I do it in ways, not just YouTube. And so what I think about what it is that I need to do in order to make this happen, in order to not be one of the 65% who are living paycheck to paycheck and almost going to guarantee my family to be in that if I do anything other than this. You know how, like, this is a do or die. This isn't messing around, right? I mean, you gotta, like, if you are not one who is able to position yourself in such a way that you can put $50 a month into some sort of retirement fund when you're 25 years old, then you're almost guaranteeing yourself you're gonna be on the 65% who are living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, think about how many people that's gonna be. Are you gonna be one of the unique 35% of people who are not that? I mean, it's like you better work, you better do what 65% of the people are not doing, and that's going out there and trying to hustle up wherever you can. It's not fair. It's not going to be fair. It's never been fair, right? And as much as we want it to be fair, and we're like, well, hey, man, I can sit on this couch and debate whether or not it's going to be fair. And think about how it is that you can make it fair, or you can go out there and actually do something and get it, right? Make it fair for yourself, because the only thing that you're going to get is what it is that you're thinking and feeling anyway. So if you don't think it's fair, you're right. It's not fair for you, and it's not going to be fair for you, but it's fair for me because I know what I can do. I can do more than anybody else thinks they need to. Because if I do more than what they think they need to, then I can actually get the house. I can actually get the retirement. I mean, you think about it, it's the competition. You look out there and you think, man, all these people who complain about what it is that's going on out there with no effort being had, not trying to do anything at all, not trying to educate themselves, not trying to learn anything, not trying to be useful or helpful or anything else, and then they demand something from the greedy rich. I mean, it happens. I get it. I mean, I kind of fell into that at one point. It sometimes sounds good, right? And then I actually did something for myself, and my family thanks me every day for it, right? And I thank you for being here every day. All right, let's talk about economics. Let's not talk, or I don't know. We can keep talking this stuff too. Anyway, what's up, people? Infamous NYC. Thank you for being here. Bitcoin is digital fiat. No, not really. See, that's the difference. See, fiat is something like by decree. It's like them saying, "Here, you must use this," and they print up as much as they want. Bitcoin is not that. If you don't understand the difference between Bitcoin and fiat, or Bitcoin and gold, or fiat and gold, or anything else, as far as what is determined as money or currency, or the difference between those, then it's going to be very difficult to understand the economic forces that are playing out. You have to know the difference. And see, this is something that I realized as I'm trying to come together with the thing that I can sell, right? As I try to understand this, it was like, okay, so it's so simple. It's these four economic forces that if you really internalize these four economic forces, then everything will just make all this sense, right? And I say this a lot. And it's not that easy because the underlying economic forces have all these little tiny nuances to it that you have to really understand the intricate pieces to every single thing in order to really grasp what it is that you are seeing out there, because it's a very murky, obscure idea of what the economy is. And if you're trying to view it through politics, then you're going to have something that is not, it's unfortunate. I guess I shouldn't say it's unfortunate. It's probably very fortunate for those who study politics very closely, because they condition their life in which that the political environment then impacts them in such a way that they either gain or lose. That's why they get so upset, right? Because that's how they condition their life to be. So if they're really into politics and they think that they can condition their life to follow that, then that's exactly what's going to end up happening is they get guided by the politics of it all, right? Like if these guys get in, then I'm going to lose my whole retirement. Okay. So anyway, you hear all that kind of stuff. I push that stuff away and I'm not worried about it. Like my retirement isn't scared of politics. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, other people can try to debate that on me or convince me of it, but it ain't going to happen because it's just not. So I look at it much differently, but then again, I look at the underlying economic forces, and the politics is generally reacting to they are the symptoms of economic forces that are playing out. So once you understand and learn these underlying economic forces that play out, then it makes a whole lot more sense to why they are doing the things that they are doing and how it is that you can deal with it, how it is that you can position yourself to say, okay, well, if these sort of things are going to happen into the future, do I have a position that says, hey, I'm somewhat protected from that? Or am I in a position that would say gain from that? They print out all this money. Do you think that maybe it might just flow into assets? I wonder. Yeah, of course it would, right? So maybe you want to be in a position of having assets during those particular times, because what's going to happen if you wait, right? You're going to end up missing out on it. And so I think about like how it is that you can deal with any particular situation based on the ideas that you have learned from the underlying economic forces that are going on. Right? Not from the politics of it. The politics are reacting. They're like the show. They're like the show of it all. And I mean, I don't know quite how else to explain it, but once you see how the gravitational pull of economic forces are making things go the direction that they go, it all starts to line up, and it's just kind of almost easy to predict. And anyway, what time is it? 23 minutes into it. Continuing currency printing and debasement only will stoke the Bitcoin fire. Well, I mean, I kind of agree, but you also, it's like how much Bitcoin is available out there? Right now, if you start considering derivatives of Bitcoin, then you got a whole nother story. But how much like actual Bitcoin is available out there? It's only like 19 million something coins, right? And there's only 21 million coins that are ever going to be produced, and that's over the next whatever 100 years. All the Bitcoin is out right now. So where do you like? I mean, unless people just completely give up on Bitcoin, which I don't see the network effect of Bitcoin reversing, it's only going to go up, right? It's only like more people getting into it, more people are building platforms for it, more people are integrating it, more tools are being built around it, more everything, right? More products, Bitcoin. And if people think that that's going to go away, I don't like. Are you like, yeah, you sure? It's like a big, hot, like muddy, painted, primer, messed up mess, right? Like, it's like you can't get rid of this now. It's all over the place. And so to think, man, it's just gonna like die. It's fiat, just like anything else. Nobody's gonna accept it, and it'd be like, keep thinking that, so I can keep buying more because I plan on getting one Bitcoin, and it seems to get harder and harder to get there. That's kind of cool, right? It's a savings that just seems to keep right on savings. It absolutely dominated everything else that I tried to do. Like, I mean, people are asking, man, as the guy who knows all this stuff about economics, why don't you just try and trade and do all this other stuff? And I'm thinking, I killed it in Bitcoin over the course of 4 or 5 years now, dollar cost averaging in, and I didn't really even have to think about it. I mean, it was just like, man, that's awesome. That is like, it's so awesome. Like, I don't expect anything from it, but it seems to be the biggest position that I have in anything outside of maybe the real estate, the equity inside of the real estate of this house. So, like, people say, like, where do I put my money? And I'm like, I have no idea because I don't want to suggest Bitcoin, but that's what I'm doing. Apparently, I didn't mean to. It just, that's where, like I put some money into Bitcoin and now it's the biggest part of the portfolio. I'm like, all right, I wanted it to be silver, I mean, I wanted that. I mean, silver's done quite well. Don't get me wrong. I'm enjoying the the spot price increase that's been taking place, but it's like, it's not even doing like even remotely close to what I've been doing in cryptocurrency. And I don't like that, but I don't care because it doesn't matter what I like. It doesn't matter what I dislike. It doesn't matter what I want. It's the truth of the matter, right? And we can think about government intervention and illegal and all the other stuff. And I laugh so hard at that because I'm thinking it's a global thing and there's nothing that they can do to stop it, right? Once you start that transaction, it's going. I love it. Government can't stop it from happening. That's even better. And it's not like they can't see it from happening. I know that, right? They can see it all taking place. But when you have something that's a global commodity or a global transactionable item of that nature, that's cool as hell. There ain't nothing else like that. And to think that that's not useful, yeah, okay, right? I mean, I find it incredibly useful understanding the economic forces that are out there and how it is that currencies play out, right? I mean, that is a good currency by any stretch of the imagination. All right. I make a great living downsizing this year. Good for you, Kirk. Hey, right on. Check this out. We got a 1999 from Rusty Dollar. Love the message you spread. Well, thank you so much, Rusty Dollar. I really appreciate it. I'm glad everybody's joining in. 238 people with 53 likes. Hey, do me a favor. We're going to be out here for about another 32 minutes or so. Share the video. Hit the thumbs up button. Make a lot of comments. Keep going for it. Let's get this video spread around because it's really important to understand what it is that's coming into the future. We have to do something about it. That is the important part of this message. This is what I want to deliver right now, half hour into this video, 28 minutes into it. The important part of this is we have to do something. We can't expect them to do something. We have to do something. And part of that is in understanding and internalizing the message that we are telling ourselves about what it is that's going on. If we do not think that we can do something about it for ourselves, then I guarantee you, you'll never be able to see it out there. So understanding what it is that we can do for ourselves so that we can make it through this world, especially to see what is coming by 20, what did it say? I can't even remember. I lost my page here. Hold on, let me see if I can bring it back up. But it's in just a matter of a short amount of time, we are going to see 65% by 2043 people living paycheck to paycheck, and that is just insane to think, right? It's incredible. And if you think that, if you're young, think about it. If you're young right now, this is what you're headed into. You're paycheck to paycheck. Do you think it's going to get easier or harder when 65%, like right now, it's only 42? It's 42% right now. By 2043, it's going to be 65%. In 20 years, what is it that you're going to be experiencing? You're going to be 45 years old. You're going to be here at my age right now thinking about this video. looking around, wondering why everybody it is living paycheck to paycheck and wondering what it is that you could have done to something about it. And right here is your time because you got the youth and you got the youth, right? 25 years old, and you can put such a small amount away that you wouldn't even notice it, right? You wouldn't even notice it. $50 a month, and think about it. Just put it into a compounding interest calculator for the next 40 years and see what happens from it. I guarantee you in 20 years, when you're living paycheck to paycheck, if you're still putting that $40 away, you're going to feel a lot better than 65% of the people who are out there, even if you are living paycheck to paycheck. I live paycheck to paycheck, investing in Roth IRA taxable investment accounts. Kids whose life insurance policy. Yeah, well, that's kind of what I do too. Like, I essentially live paycheck to paycheck as myself. Yeah, I really don't. I like most of the money, but it's not like I don't have, like, I'm investing, I'm putting money into 401k, I'm putting money into Bitcoin, I'm putting money into whatever it is that I got going on out there. And I'm almost done paying off the credit card debt, which was essentially my kids' braces because I didn't want to give up the cash. And it turned out to be, don't put anything on your credit card if you don't have to, because just like anything, I fell into it too. Once I put it on there thinking, oh, I'll just knock it out in a few months, I didn't. All right. Things came up, others, tires for the wife's car, it broke down, right? So it ended up costing $3,000. Like, all these things that should have had the credit card paid off took its place. So understand this, right? This is one of the clearest messages that I have learned from economics, and that is if you do not have a plan for your money, the universe does. Think about that, right? The universe will take it from you. If you do not have a plan for it, the universe does. And it will prove it to you time and time again. You'll go back and go like, man, where did all my money go? And the universe is over there snickering, right? It was just like, well, you didn't plan anything for us, so we took it, right? And you don't even remember when. It's like the greatest, it's like one of the coolest secrets in the entire world is just to have a plan for your money and the universe doesn't take it from you. It's so weird, right? Like, it does at times. Like, for me, it was just like, man, these tires, all this other stuff. And I was just like, okay, I get the punishment of the credit card, right? If I didn't do the credit card, I would have been able to pay these things and it would have been fine, right? Because I would have positioned myself in such a way that I would have had the money for it. But no, right? And so this is my lesson that I learned looking back on my life and everything that I've done. It was just like, man, I deserve that. I deserve that lesson again, right? Because lessons in life are repeated until learned. And I somewhat laugh at it. I enjoy it. It's just like every time I was just like, okay, I'm getting closer. Then all of a sudden, boom, something happens. Like, of course it does. And that's how it works. Yeah. But if you're putting $50 away, hey, it's not so noticeable. And see, the reason why I say do $50 is because if you're young and you're putting $50 away, you won't notice it. And as you start to do it, you will just naturally start doing more. And I guarantee you, by the time you get there, you will have this start. You'll see. All right, a plan is the motor on the boat to head upstream. All you need to do is buy. Yes, delay gratification. Well, or find gratitude or gratification in things that don't cost you money. Make it simple. Make it cheap. I mean, if people are like, oh man, no, I gotta be like at, 25 concerts a year in order to find my happiness. And it'd be like, okay, that's probably gonna be pretty expensive. And I don't know how it is that you're gonna live, within your means and enjoy that kind of experience all the time. But whatever. I mean, that is what it is that some people are gonna end up doing is something similar, or I guess something similar to that. Now, if you can totally afford it and that's within your life and that's your total like thing, right? And that is the only thing you got going on and you're able to still save and you're like, no, man, this is the experience I want throughout my youth and whatever is to be able to do that. Right? Go for it, man. You got a plan. Right? You got a plan going on. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to take that direction with it and, work hard your entire life and continue to put the $50 away, and most likely increase it as you're going, because that's going to be the natural thing that happens when you start doing something like that, then, you're probably going to still end up okay. Right? But you got that plan at least. So for me, when most people are watching this channel, they're probably not 25 years old. They're most likely in their 40s or 50s or even more in their 60s, trying to figure out what it is that they can do to either hold on to their money, trying to figure out what it is that they can do to increase their life or increase their money in their life, considering their age. Maybe they didn't, like I take, for example, somebody who's really close, like right now, and I'm watching the deterioration happening within his life. Even somebody else who I'm not witnessing, but heard a story about, as far as like trying to figure out what it is that they are going to do with the savings that they have, and coming towards the end of their life, trying to figure out how it is that they condition themselves to be able to experience somewhat a quality of life, and knowing that there's not much out there in order to, provide, like, as far as like an easier condition as the old age comes. Like, a lot of people are on their own, right? Like, there's nobody there to come help. And so the baby boomer population is old and they're big. It's like they're a big portion of the population. And a lot of them had an expectation that there was just going to be something there. And it's not. And like, I'm watching them deteriorate into the abyss, essentially falling further and further away. Like, it's getting harder and harder for them to make the rent payments. It's making it harder for them to figure out what it is that they need to do in order to keep their quality of life going. And so as I see this happening, it's like, it's almost like the reflection that I'm getting from, like, that was the position that I was headed towards, right? And so I see that as the reflection, my internal reflection, saying that's what's going to happen if you don't pay attention to what you're doing, right? See, this is why it's being exposed to you. It's like, you know, the preliminary, to what you're going to experience. This person worked hard their entire life, screwed up, got divorced, had a death in the family, something took place, and it did put them in a position in which they just seemed not to be able to recover from. No money, no abilities, no skills, no family, no nothing. Right? And so it's no surprise that you see the homeless population growing as fast as it does. And I can only assume, with 65% of the people moving into a paycheck to paycheck position, the homelessness is going to get worse. It's going to get worse. There's almost no doubt about it, right? And so there's going to have to be a different way of people going about it. Like, they're going to have to figure out a way to live, work, and not have a place, right? Or the place that they have is such a small cubicle of a sleeping dwelling and nothing more, that, because that's going to be the only thing that's going to really be available or affordable to them. This is sort of taking place on its own anyway. I mean, what is it that people are going to do if they can't rent a place and they have a job? Where else are you going to live but your car, right? And so it's happening now, and to know that the politics are literally reacting to the underlying economic forces. There'll be plenty of people out here who will tell you how it was a political thing that took place back here. It was this guy, it was these corporations, it was that, whatever. And they'll spell it all out for you. In fact, there will be probably very long debates, and maybe even, like, college lectures, or whatever, that they'll spell it all out, A to Z, on how exactly this is all taking place, but never once incorporate Cantillon effect into it, knowing that it's the new money that dive into luxuries, that separates the rich from the poor, drives out the domestic manufacturers, brings in ever-increasing amounts of foreign production, and this is the reason why we are now experiencing the things that we are experiencing today. It's new money issuance every time. Anytime anybody says, hey, let's get government to do something, You are literally saying, hey, let's get government to cause more inequality, please. And in the meantime, we might get a little tiny spark of benefit out of it. You guys having fun? What time is it? We got some super chats going I think I'm ignoring. Let me go check them out. $9.99 from Nick. Thank you so much. Here's some powder for your Bitcoin reserve. Thank you so much, man. I'll definitely do that. I found that dollar cost averaging into it over the past few years has definitely changed my time preference. Boom. Thank you so much. And it's not me. I'm telling you, this is not my advice to dollar cost average into Bitcoin. It was Lynn Alden's advice to me when I asked her straight up, face to face, what it is that I can do to time Bitcoin market so I can make the most money off of it. And she says, you can't. I don't know. Maybe she was saying like you can't, like Sue Simon, you can't do it. Maybe somebody else can, but she says you can't. She says dollar cost average over 4 years. There has never been a time in their economic model, even if you had started at the top of the market, there has never been a time in their economic model in which that you would be under if you dollar cost average consistently for 4 years. So I did that for 4 years into Cash App. Like I just picked an app that I could buy Bitcoin with. It just happened to be Cash App. No reason why I did that. And so I started buying using Cash App, and I did exactly that. Now, I didn't quite nail it every single, what was I doing, a week or a month? No, I didn't, I was trying to do it every single week. Sometimes I would skip a week and I would buy $100 on the next week, or sometimes I would just skip it altogether. So I didn't quite dollar cost average consistently, but I did do quite a bit into it, and it just absolutely killed it. I couldn't believe how well it did. And I was just like, no way. Like, no way did it do that well. Like, I knew it was going to do well just because I trusted Lynn and her experience and all her understanding. Like, she's one of the smartest people I know. So I knew that it would work, but I didn't think it would work that well for me. I really didn't. And so I'm like, man, that's it. Like, that's the only thing that I can really think of out there that I feel that confident with, that is going to be a position in which that I can dollar cost average and get something of a return that is going to be making a smile on my face. Right? Because everything else seems to be frustrating to me. And it's just like the market doesn't behave the way I think it should. Silver and gold definitely don't. Well, gold does, but silver definitely doesn't behave the way it should. And really, to my opinion, I'd much rather have silver suppressed so I can just buy up as much as I can at the cheaper price than to have it be manipulated and unleashed and all of a sudden just volatility go ripping through the market. And then for me to have to try and figure out how it is that I get the best deal out of my silver. I just much rather look at it as an insurance policy and have it suppressed and load up as much silver as I possibly can when the market is suppressed, and hopefully I can buy it as much as I can when it happens and be aware of it when it's happening, so that maybe when I'm 80 years old and it just absolutely skyrockets, I'll be singing Happy Dance, right? I'll be, that's what I want, so anybody else who says, oh man, you should talk about the ending of the manipulator and all that, I'm like, I don't know if I really want it. I'd rather it be suppressed and load up on cheap silver. I mean, if they want to suppress it and make it cheap, then I want it. I want it cheap. Like, why wouldn't you want it cheap? I don't get it, I mean, I understand that people are waiting for it and hoping and wishing and praying that they want their silver to go up so that they can buy Lamborghinis and stuff like that. And I get that part. Like, I lived that life at one point, but it was very disappointing. So to me, I'd rather have it cheap so I can just get as much as I can to get myself out of that third-party claim. And if they want to give it cheaper to me so I can get out of that third party, get away from the government, get away from the banking system, get away from all the exposure of all the stuff out there, and they want to make it cheap by suppressing the market, good. Do it. All right, for sure. Silver and gold is an insurance policy. Don't look at it as an investment. Preserve it for the SHTF. All right, correct all-nighter. They will be left behind too. 406 by who? BTC is worldwide. Yeah. I turn all my memes into BTCs, then rotate. It never really leaves the market. As dollar continues to get wrecked, these anti-inflation hedges should work, not even at hard times yet. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's going to come a time in the future in which that the dollar-denominated debt is going to come due, and people are going to be like, holy crap, what is going on? They're gonna look back and they're gonna say, man, did the uneducated economists say that the dollar demand was going to be bigger than anybody could have imagined? All right. Now, whether it comes due in our lifetime, I think it would. But whether or not it comes due in our lifetime and the Federal Reserve can figure out a way to deploy their liabilities into the world market in a way that doesn't crash the United States government, like that's a possibility. And I'm going to sit around with popcorn waiting for that day to happen to see if it can see how it plays out. Right? Are they going to do it with the central bank digital currencies and stable coins and tokenization and all this other stuff and go into negative interest rates with the cashless society? Maybe, right? It was just like, oh man, what will happen? I hope I have enough silver at the time, right? Mm-hmm. What time is it? 45 minutes. We got 15 more minutes. Keep hitting that like button. We got 93 likes, 302 people watching. Thank you so much. 313 people watching. Continue to hit that like button and continue to share the video. By sharing that video, you're going to get the algorithm to share it as well. Let's see here. End of empire shenanigans. It's going to be a U.S. cryptocurrency. What it's going to be, it's going to be stable coins. It's going to be the regulating market of stable coins. You're going to find that corporations or whatever entities, there we go, will create a currency backed by dollars that get used like dollars. Right? That's what's going to end up happening. And then all that currency, that those tokenized dollars, the stable coins that go out there into the system, removing the cash, will then have all this, how do I put it, like tracking, tracing capabilities to it, like everybody is talking about. But then it also conditions the people in the markets in a way that then says they can deploy effort and power in a way that they need for the economy. Now, I know this is really confusing and I'm not trying to be all psychobabbling, but this is how it really goes down, is that the United States is going to have to produce a consumer. That is the only way it works. There is no other way. If it goes any other way, the world economy falls apart. The United States has to produce a consumer. There is no other way about it. All right. So once we grasp that part of it, that they have to produce a consumer, it is very difficult to produce a consumer now when you got the future 65% of the people living paycheck to paycheck. That is not where you're going to be deploying. That is not where you're going to be able to deploy money, time, effort, or energy in getting a consumer. It's not going to work like that. All right? Not from the traditional methods. So understanding that the Federal Reserve is going to be in a very difficult position trying to figure out how it is they stimulate the economy, because they used to focus in on the labor market. They were like, here, if you go get a job, then that'll get inflation going because all this added consumption takes place. And then from the Obama administration all the way up till COVID, it failed them. They failed to produce an inflationary scenario with their low interest rate environment. They couldn't do it. And so knowing that to be the case, you can see how it's failing. Like, here we got all these people living paycheck to paycheck. They know even stimulating the lower end of people takes a massive money injection. And then what ends up happening other than inequality, right? That's exactly what ended up taking place. You inject all this money into the people during COVID, increase their savings, right? A lot of them decrease their debt. And then now what's the result of it? Here it is. Just a few years later, we have ever increasing amounts of debt amongst those people and an ever increasing driven wedge, right? What happens to the money every time? It's not anything you can stop. It's just the natural consequence of how money flows. It flows right to the top every single time. Knowing that the Federal Reserve is going to be in this position, how do they produce a consumer? It's going to have to come from UBI type of injections. You can rely, they're already learning that they can't rely on the top 20% of people. They can rely on the top 10% of people. But think about how it is that you are going to get enough consumption coming out of the top 10% of people. They're doing more of the consumption now than ever. Are they going to focus directly in on them? Well, they have no other tool amongst themselves in order to stimulate the economy than to do that, than to inject money to the top 10% so that they can spend it into the economy to be the consumer. It's just, it's so sad to see it out here that this is the unfortunate consequence of our timing in this country, in this moment in time in the economy. This is the Cantillon effect playing out. And I know for a lot of people, it makes their stomach hurt to think about it in this fashion. Believe me, I lived a very long life with my gut wrenched, thinking about how this goes down, learning about how it is that the people out there are going to be suffering in massive depressions and famine and horribleness. I understand that to be the case. So many people say, oh man, you're just trying to gloss over that stuff. It's just like, you know how depressing it is? Do you want to live your life in that depression? Is that what you want to feel every single moment of every single day, knowing that to be the case? No. You want to think about what it is that you can do about it because it's super heavy, right? That's what it comes down to. So you take this heavy and you say, man, this is tough. This is hard, to deal with. So what do? Right? You got to position yourself accordingly for it because you know it's coming. All right, 51 minutes. We got 9 more minutes, people. Keep hitting that like button while we got the time. The Mag 7 is a good proxy to the top 10% in its fragility. The Mag 7. I'm going to have to check that out. All right. Anybody selling the BTC right now? Would you want to pay for it? I take that as a Nate. As a no, Nate. Bottled water just comes from the tap somewhere else unless you're buying RO water, but good well water is fine. It's kind of funny. My water actually comes from a reservoir, like a local reservoir here. Yeah, it's our own water supply. Like we don't get our water from like a city water supply or anything like that. It's pretty cool, right? All right. Tap water noodles they taste terrible. The Mag 7 of the S&P, aka the bottom 493. All right. I might be prepared for the Great Financial Crisis 2.0, but 80% of the Americans are not. It would be a really bad, guys. Well, and yeah. I don't know how many people really take it into consideration, like how devastating of an event like a total debt collapse would be for the entire globe. And it's really surprising on what it is that would actually happen during that time. Because when you have a massive debt collapse, financial collapse, what you'll end up finding is the demand for dollars going up, not down. Like everything starts to crash and the dollar starts buying more and more and more. Right? Deflation is the scariest thing for the Federal Reserve. Well, and I know for people, inflation is the scariest thing. It's quite the opposite. It's just like our liability is their asset and our asset is their liability. It's the same thing when it comes to inflation. Deflation is their biggest worry, right? Inflation is our biggest worry. And once you recognize how these two different things take place, like our concern is inflation, you're messing it up, and they're like, our concern is deflation, you're messing it up, and so I have a Berkey Imperial water purifier with a fluoride filter attached also. Tom Floss, what I should do is I should start finding things like that and push those on every week or so on my Amazon affiliate thing. That way we have all different products to buy and sell. What does that sound like? Sound good idea? I'll just pick a different product to sell and you guys just buy it all up and then I get a commission off of it so that the UE can make some more money. All right, let's see here. Systematic deflation may be everyone's short-term concern. Yeah, I think, I mean, really it is, you think about it, like a deflation that starts lowering your portfolio. Yeah, and then people start freaking out about it. But then really it's buying opportunity for other people, So. I mean, which position have you taken? It's just like, are you prepared to deal with any situation that comes? Inflation comes from printing, and that's the government. Well, living the dream. It comes from printing of money, and that's the government. It comes from added consumption. That's what it comes from, right? It comes from supply-demand imbalances caused from added consumption. That's where the inflation is. Now, the definition of inflation is the increase of money and debt. Prices are essentially the results of that. Now, if you inject money into the system, most likely you are going to find inflationary pressures to where that money flows. But now to find that money flowing in all directions at all times, all at once, is a very difficult task. See, if you just straight up say it, money printer go burr, prices go up, and you stop right there, and you don't take any other consideration into it, you will fail to understand why it is that quantitative easing 1, 2, 3, and 4 failed to produce an inflationary scenario for the Federal Reserve. Took the Fed's balance sheet of $850 billion to over $4.5 trillion, and it didn't work for them. In 2018, John Williams did a speech, Monetary Policy Strategies for a Low Neutral Interest Rate World. This is after all that quantitative easing, after it was more money printed during that time than was taken on a percentage basis than took place during COVID. Now, there was more money printed in COVID in dollars, but on a percentage basis, it was far more taking place back during the great financial crisis, and it completely failed them. He said it in that speech. The problem they need to solve these days is a risk of inflation that is persistently too low rather than too high. Once you understand why that happened, and then what took place during COVID with stimulus injections and severing of the supply chain and the producing of an inflationary scenario that saved the Federal Reserve's monetary policy by raising the neutral interest rate, moving the Fed funds rate above that neutral interest rate, made the economy restricted, only defined over time. The restriction became less and less and less. This is benefiting the top 20% of people. I have described it daily now. It's not the money printer. It's the added consumption. Once you understand it, once you see it, once you recognize it, then you can start understanding why it failed them back during the great financial crisis and why it's working so swimmingly today, because of the elevated inflation expectation that is produced from the credible threats. Credible threats of COVID, credible threats of supply chain breakdowns, credible threats of war, credible threats of tariffs. All these credible threats continue to push an inflationary scenario from the expectations of the people, the mainstream media, and the communications coming from the Federal Reserve through their specific words and sentences that they use that they know will either increase or decrease the asset prices, creating an easing or tightening of financial conditions. I have explained this a million times. There is nobody else out there on the internet who is going to explain it in this fashion. I am the only one. The only one. And I have been saying it this way, the same way, with no changes to it for years. The only change that comes to it is the added information of the changes to the monetary policy. The history does not change. It's consistent every single time. All right, man, just arrived. Oh, standard nursery. What a bummer, because I'm about ready to end the live stream here. We'll give it another 5 minutes just because you showed up, bro. All right. You were awesome about it, and I appreciate it. Yeah, you bet, man. Are you talking all night, or I thought you were talking to me? All right. Let's see. Sometimes I wonder if I, just read a comment and think it's always about me. Uh, that's my egotistical mind going off. All right. I am so glad you don't do commercials for monetary metal golds leasing. Everyone else does. Glad you don't sell out to commercialism. Tom Flo, I really appreciate the $5, man. And that's one of the things that really keeps me from taking the sponsorships is that you guys are so generous, right? You guys have always been so generous with this channel, and it really does because I want to take the money. The money is so good out there. You guys wouldn't believe it. Like what I have been offered to do commercials on my channel is just like, it feels dirty. It's so good, right? It's so appreciated that you guys are essentially the sponsor of the channel. I don't need to take sponsors when I have people like you who are essentially sponsoring the channel. When you're here, when you are commenting, when you are liking the video, when you are sharing the video, and especially when you are hitting me up with these super chats, you guys are sponsoring the channel. I don't need outside influence. I don't need outside money. I don't need anything from anybody else. I just need the information. I need to be able to deliver it to you guys. And I hopefully do that in an entertaining and informative way so that you can take something from this. Thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate it. Because I've very much considered that. Rusty Dollar. Hold on one second. I'm getting a message here from... Oh, okay. Thank you, All Nighter. Let me go check it out. Oh, yeah. Love the message. Yeah, I think I got that one, All Nighter. Thank you. It was at the very beginning. And thank you again, Rusty Dollar, for the $9.99. Deja Vu comes up as a member for 21 months now. Thank you so much for being a member of the channel and supporting the channel through your membership. Think about it. It's $1 a month. It's the cheapest membership you could ever possibly get on the internet. Nick with the $9.99 with the says, here's some dry powder for the Bitcoin reserve. Thank you so much, and I'll definitely put it towards Bitcoin. I'll do that as soon as we end the video here. I'll even buy it at this price. What's that? Man, look at all these comments. And then Tom Flo with the $5. Thank you guys so much. It's just awesome. All right. I thought I was subbed. WTF. Oh, by the way, going through a major purge right now with the channel. I've been like, I woke up this morning with like hundreds of subscribers that have like been removed from the channel. It happens every month, couple of months, every 6 months or so. There will be a major purge to the channel where they'll clear out a bunch of dead counts. But I think inside of that, they, for whatever reason, also unsubscribe a bunch of people. And I don't exactly know why. People have told me that's happened, and I've actually found it happening to me as well. So, the channels that I've subscribed to have. All right. My parents told me about soup lines during the Depression. Yeah, well, one of the reasons why you don't see them today is basically because of the food stamp cards and stuff. How much longer can JCPenney hang on? I have no idea. Who is they? All right. I am subscribed with notifications. Well, thank you, Standard Nursery. I really appreciate it. Do you think they'll make more rules in YouTube and it will be unusable in the future? I don't think so. I mean, I find it only more useful, and I just don't take advantage of its usefulness, right? Again, it's me with my blocks, right? I put the blocks up there by simply just not doing it. I could open up the doors of opportunity if I was just to simply take more advantage of what it is that YouTube has to offer. So my only concern is the message that I deliver will then become demonetized or not appreciated, or hit the algorithm in a way that says, hey, we don't want to spread your message because you've talked about certain things, which I have seen come up before, but I've never really been like punished in a way that says, hey, we're going to shut you down for a while, or warning you or anything like that. It was just like not partnership friendly video because I talked about the cannabis industry or I talked about homelessness, right? And I kind of I feel defiant in a way, like I almost want to talk about it every single time like I do a video. I want to say it just because it's just like in me to be like, well, if you don't want me to bring attention to it, then I'm going to start bringing attention to it. It's like, but and then again, I also want to make money here and I want to spread the message of other things too, so. I wish you would stop using that to demonstrate that printer go bird is not create inflation, and obviously it does. Well, deplorable, you can't describe it then. All right, but yes, it always depends on whether the money is going like inflationary scenarios, like you call it, from the banks, from the mortgage. Okay, deplorable. That's a good one. I appreciate your concerns, and I understand that you don't want to understand how it is that the Federal Reserve was absolutely desperate to find an inflationary scenario. Even after the money printer go bird, he didn't. Right? If you don't see it, then you're not going to be able to understand why it is that the Fed was doing the things that they were doing. You're just going to miss it because you're just going to assume, because that's what you're telling me to do. You're saying that I am wrong right here, right now, by even saying it, and I'm pushing back against it, going, no, because what you are trying to say is that the Federal Reserve didn't have a problem with inflation at the time, even though they expanded the balance sheet by 4 times. Maybe they should have done it 8 times and they would have had an inflation problem. Right? Since all the money printing then didn't do it, why? Right? Explain why it was a problem for them. And once you get it, once you see it, then you will have an understanding of the monetary policy as well. Deplorable loves pushing my buttons. No, he's a great guy. He's been here for a while now, and he's a good guy. All right. Money printer combined with lack of industry, not money printing alone. Let's see, what time is it? 1:06. Okay, we're gonna give it 4 more minutes here and call it good. Open supply chain, that has to do a lot more. Make deflation great again. Cannabis is legal in Thailand, but they want to make it illegal again. Do you think they can do that? Well, I mean, you can, I don't know, you can produce a great industry by making it illegal, make it valuable again. I mean, all these poor farmers out there just can't make a living off of it because really anybody can just grow it and it's just a stupid weed anyway, and it doesn't really make any difference to anybody's life. And so since it's just a stupid weed that nobody really has any value, it doesn't really carry any value for anybody in any way, shape, or form until you make it illegal. Once you make it illegal, now it has all kinds of value because it'll get you high. And people like getting high. They really, 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 really like getting high. And if you make it illegal, then you got something that somebody wants. And if there's risk, there's reward and there's money involved. So yeah, that's sounds like a great idea if you were wanting to make the industry do something valuable. Makes a whole government industry, makes a whole illegal market industry. It just creates all kinds of value. Why wouldn't you make it illegal? Take something somebody wants and make it illegal. It's all kinds of value, All right. Equalize the capital gains tax rate, income tax rate. Nah, it won't matter. I'm sorry, I don't mean to just blow it off, but I mean, there's nothing that can really be done within the tax schemes to make any difference inside of it. I mean, okay, I shouldn't say that. It won't make any lasting effect. You can do some temporary things, messing with the taxes, messing with how, the economy, underlying economic forces will eventually play out, right? I mean, just understanding that manufacturing will leave a luxury experiencing economy. When you raise your standard of living, you are raising the luxurious experience that will drive out the domestic manufacturers. You can do something with government intervention, subsidies, tariffs, all this other stuff, but eventually the underlying economic forces will pull it away. Germany is a perfect example of this. All right? We are a good example of it. In the future, we'll have other examples of it. All right, a few more minutes here, guys. Not even a few more minutes, 30 seconds. All right, keep hitting that like button. 146 likes, 299 people watching. And give it the last few minutes. Let's get it up to 200 likes if you can. All that matters is bringing in more money than you put out personally and reinvesting the excess to bring in more income. Honestly, it sounds tough, but if you can understand and use the tax system to your advantage, that system and help you substantially. Absolutely. The cold reaper, I totally agree with that. Heavy weed smokers often get mentally deficient as they get older. I have seen it in my neighborhood. I'm sorry, what were we talking about? That's the Cantillon effect. $8,000 many houses is that the future of the 80%? It's not, because MRider 777, there's really no money inside of people doing that unless you can make a profit off of it, right? Like, I understand that, and you can build this little tiny structure, but where are you going to put it other than inside of like a homeless community or something of that nature? And I mean, I guess that would be the case, but that's somewhat of like the cubicle idea, right? You know, you might as well just have a big warehouse that they can just all go into, and then it'll be nice and dry and heated and all that other stuff, and, you know, be like prison. Yeah. Alrighty, guys. I really enjoyed this live stream. It was a lot of fun. 284 people watching with 160 likes. And 300 I wish, $34.90 in super chats, because you guys are always so generous with that. I got links down in the description, and Uneducated Economist. You guys let me know.